Hi everyone, thanks for joining Getting Started with Brightspace for Secondary Educators. We're going to get started right at 4 p.m. We're just going to wait for some more people to log on. We'll talk to you in a few. Thanks.
Okay, folks, so I want to get started here this afternoon. There are still people kind of trickling in. They'll just have to catch up. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining me. This is the second installment of our webinar series this week, the first one for secondary educators. If you've been following along or you've been able to look at our registration page, you'll see that every day we're going to be running a series of webinars. In the morning, we'll be doing elementary panel, and in the afternoon we're going to be looking at secondary. So the webinar that if you were On the webinar this morning, you'll see there's probably a lot of synergies between what I'm sharing. A lot of the content will be the same. However, there's going to be a lot of tips and tricks along the way that we try to gear and focus on whichever panel we're presenting to elementary, and this afternoon, secondary. Each of these webinars are going to be about 20 to 30 minutes long, so make sure that you register for them, all of them, for the remainder of the week. So in this webinar, I'm going to be looking at getting started with Brightspace. So this is going to be focused on very introductory level material. What do you see when you log in for the first time? I'm going to help you understand what the page looks like, how to navigate to your course within Brightspace, as well as we're going to look at one of our tools, Activity Feed, which is a great tool to get started with if you've never used Brightspace before. If you are an avid Brightspace user, you use it on a daily basis, or you're very, very familiar with it, you've built courses, this might be a little bit introductory for you, but feel free to stay on. Maybe there's some tips and tricks you learn along the way. You never know. But again, we're really focused on that introductory user. Here we go. My name is Adam Chichojewski. I am a customer success specialist with D2L. I've been in education for about 5 years. The last 2 have been solely focused on supporting K-12 clients at D2L with the use of Brightspace. I have my Twitter handle just below my name there. Feel free to follow me on Twitter. I do share a lot of information about new product releases or updates are coming out, exciting stuff at D2L, as well as any sort of webinars or events similar to this one. I do also want to point out that the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, you'll see a email address, k12ont@d2l.com. We have put that there if you have any questions. So I'm going to actually hop in a couple housekeeping items. The first one actually is that we have actually disabled all chat function, question and answer period. And if you do raise your hand, there is a raise your hand option. Unfortunately, we will not be getting to those individuals on this call. If there's specific Brightspace questions you have, you can either email us at k12ont@d2l.com, or you can ask your district's Brightspace administrator. Second, I really want to make sure that all of our webinars are using the same language. So the way that we're going to be describing your group of schools today is by using the term district. I know I support a lot in Ontario. We use board, other areas or other customers. I know also use division. For the purpose of this webinar series, we're really going to focus on using the term district. Third, if your school district is not currently using Brightspace and you're on this webinar, feel free to follow along and see what it does have to offer. And also reach out to that same email address, k12ont@d2l.com, and find out what steps you can take to maybe get your district some information about how to get to Brightspace, but feel free to follow along. Also, and finally, the slide deck that we are working off of here today, as well as the webinar recording, are going to be made available after this webinar is complete. I want to make sure that you know that I will be going through a lot of information. It might feel like it's a little bit quick, but you will have these resources when we finish. So, hopping into it. Our agenda for today, we're going to look at current state, just current climate in the world today across all our K-12 customers and what's been going on. We're going to look at Brightspace. So there's been a lot of questions we've got over the last couple of weeks about different terminology. What is D2L? What is Brightspace? We have a really neat infographic we're going to look at. We're going to look at what it's like to be a first-time user, first-time access. When you log in, what are you expected to see? We're also going to be looking at course homepage navigation. So when you land on your course, what can you do there to engage your learners? What can you do, kind of manipulate to really make it a great space and understand what that homepage is supposed to look like? We're going to then hop into Activity Feed, and we're going to look at how we can engage learners with that tool. And finally, we have a robust list of resources. So at the end, we have some resources, and actually as we go through, you'll see that there is a number of resources that I'm going to be referencing. They're all going to be made available to you after this webinar is over. Okay, so let's hop into the first thing. First thing I want to really look at is that current state. So the impact of COVID-19, it's really impacting us all, and we want to know, we want you to know that we're here for you. We're here to support. We're here to do what we can to help support um, your health and safety, and make you feel as comfortable as we possibly can. D2L has been partnering with all of our clients across the board, across the world, to make sure that what we're doing is helping them uh, have the best experience they can. We're really all in this together. So one of the ways, a number of ways that we're going to be doing that is helping learners continue their education and bringing it online. So D2L wants to make sure that we are here to partner for that continuation of learning, even when schools are closed, when students are home, we're here to support. As we've been working through the last couple of weeks with all this new information that seems to be changing day to day, we're getting a lot of questions, and what things do you need to consider, and what does D2L, what are we able to offer, and what's kind of falls more on the district or the educator. So we have a few considerations here that I'd really like to walk through. The first one, kind of on the right hand side here, is content and resources. So a lot of educators haven't touched an online platform. Some have had some experience before. So whether you're starting from scratch and you haven't, or you've done a little bit of a little online teaching, it's really important that you're able to pull all of your resources in a nice, safe, secure place where you're going to be able to share them out to your students in a very nice navigation setting. D2L has, and Brightspace has the capability of doing that. The next one we want to look at is device and internet access. So this is actually very important. So online learning is a valuable resource at a time like this, but as an educator, we really want to make sure, as when we're kind of talking with you, that you consider the students that might not have internet and might not have the devices that they need to be able to do this online learning at home. And I think this is where that sense of kind of community comes in. We want to start looking at what can we make available. If there's older devices that maybe don't have the up-to-date operating softwares, that they can still be used by learners. D2L has um, a platform that has responsive design and can be accessed on any device that has internet capabilities. So maybe if they have an old cell phone that doesn't have the newest apps or software, but they can still access Brightspace from their phone. Again, when we're talking about communities, it's important to look at, where you can get some free devices. Maybe there's some hotspots or even free internet that you will be able to provide to those students that are in most need. Support at home. Uh, this is also very important, and we want to make sure that you understand that there's parents that are going to be on the other end, and they're going to be helping and supporting the learning that their students have. I personally am a parent. This is going to be a really new experience for me as well. I have two little guys. I'm going to be working full-time from home. So is my wife. And how are we going to, juggle our full-time work with the learning of our students? So just make sure that we're building out good schedules and ahead of time, and the parents kind of know what to expect. Accessibility and equity. So you want to look for tools that meet all the learners' needs. So tools like Brightspace, we are WCAG compliant, which means they can be used with things such as screen readers. So we really want to be thinking about those accessibility for those individuals that need it. Security, privacy of personal information. If you're asking students to use online tools, make sure their data is protected. Tools like Brightspace, we have a license with your district and have been properly vetted and can be offer reassurance for you as an educator. We never own your data. We don't own the students' data. We don't own the content that is put in there. And kind of the last point on this particular slide, we're looking at synchronous versus asynchronous learning. Having synchronous lessons like video conferences is a great tool. However, again, you want to keep in mind that maybe some households only have, one device, or a device that needs to be shared by multiple children. So having an online lesson plan will help for that asynchronous learning, such as physical activity breaks and maybe some household schedules that you can help parents with. Okay, so I know that was a lot of information, but I just want to kind of continue down this path with some additional resources to help support with that information. So I'm not going to go through all these resources exactly, but kind of on the left here, we have a number of districts and educational organizations that have worked with us, that we're working with, that have already started to share out resources on how they're working through this COVID-19 situation. As well as on the right-hand side, we look at the technology. What does access to Brightspace mean? I kind of covered a lot of that in the last slide. So, equitable, inclusive, it is safe and secure, mobile friendly. We do have a lot of already content in there. And what's actually really important is if your district is using Brightspace, you have support available 24/7, 365 days. So for your students, for you as educators, and as well as if you have parents, they have full support there. Okay, so we're going to flip back to our agenda here. So we kind of looked at the current state. The next thing we want to look at is what is Brightspace. So I mentioned that we have this fun little infographic that kind of walks us through what that looks like. So we have a number of individuals ask us, what the difference between D2L and Brightspace is. Well, D2L is actually the company, we're the organization, and we have a product that we make, which is a learning management system called Brightspace. Brightspace is our product. So D2L is the company, Brightspace the product. So similar to have Apple being an organization, the company, and the iPhone being their product. So Brightspace is our product. Another term that I really wanted to cover that we've heard a lot of questions about is what is Brightspace community? Brightspace community is a really great place for you to be able to go and collect resources such as documentation on how to use our tools, video tutorials, as well as you're able to go in there and ask some questions, and other Brightspace users, including other school districts, can answer those questions. So it's a really great space to collaborate online. All right, so we looked at what Brightspace is, and the next thing we want to look at is first-time access for you as an educator. So there's different ways that educators can access Brightspace, and it really depends on how your district has it set up. But however your district has it set up, once you log in, you're going to land on your organizational homepage or org homepage, whether it's a single sign-on solution or an SSO solution that you have at your district where you log in to a certain authentication portal, and then you have a chiclet or a widget or an app that directs you into Brightspace, or you log in on a separate page, which we'll actually look at what that looks like in just a moment. Once you've logged in, I want to highlight a few things that you are going to notice on your homepage. The first thing I want to highlight is here where the term minibar. So if I'm going to be using the term minibar, it is this group of tools across the top here. The next thing I want to highlight is your navigation bar, another group of tools. So if I'm using the term nav bar, it's going to be this one across here. Oh, and then widgets. We have a number of tools that can be put on your homepage in widgets. Here you have courses previewed, announcements, updates, and calendar. So I don't want to spend too much more time here because I actually really would love to walk through this in a live environment. So I'm going to hop over to our live environment. So when I was talking about how you log in, this could be a way that you log in. If you have a username and password, you could be coming in this way. For this example, we have an educator called Secondary, and their last name is Educator. So Secondary Educator is going to log in here and is going to be brought to D2L's Brightspace org homepage. First thing I want to kind of point out here at the top where you see D2L and Brightspace, when you log into your organizational homepage, you'll likely see a logo from your district up in the corner here where it says D2L, and where it says Brightspace, you'll probably have the name of your district. Now, a lot of different districts that we work with have customized this to say something a little bit different. So we've actually seen, I've worked with districts that might call it My Learning Hub, Student Connect, and a variety of different titles. So really it varies from district to district, but you should see a logo with your school district and the title of what your organization calls Brightspace. As we move across, like I mentioned, we have our mini bar here. The first thing I want to draw your attention to is this course selector. So if you click on that, what should happen is a list of any courses that you as an educator are enrolled in should appear here. In this particular case, our educator secondary only has one course. If you have more courses, they will all show up here. And what I recommend for you to do is whatever courses you're going to be working out of, hit the little pin button because that will actually bring it to the top. So every time you hit the course selector button, that's going to be the first one that you see. If you're not sure what course you're supposed to be working out of, contact your district's Brightspace administrator. We have some additional communication tools here across the mini bar. I'm not going to be getting into those specifically now. There is a lot of documentation that's available about that. You also have, if you click on your name, it actually opens up your profile and account settings that you can manage through here. And then you have your admin tools cog here at the end. Next, I want to draw your attention to your nav bar. This nav bar is going to be customized by your district to put the tools that they believe are going to be most important for you as an educator up onto your org homepage. So I'm not going to go through all these tools right now, but just be aware that those have been chosen by your district. And again, it might look a little bit different than this. We also have here a nice banner where it says welcome secondary. We're going to actually talk about the banner once we get into your course homepage, so I'm actually going to move away from that. And as we scroll down, we have a number of widgets down here. We have courses previewed. If we scroll down, we have announcements, updates, a calendar, and even a social media widget. So these are all widgets, and a widget basically is a tool that's basically displayed on your homepage. Okay, so that's a high level overview of what you should see on your homepage. Again, because these pages are fully customizable, it might not look identical to this, but it probably should have a very similar look and feel. The last thing I wanted to do before we move on is talk about how to find your course and activate it. So an active course means that when students log in, they're going to be able to access their account and the content that's in the course. Some districts will automatically activate their courses. However, some districts will not. So if you're one of the districts that does not automatically activate your course, there's two different ways where you can activate it. So if at your district, when you log in your homepage, you have your widget that has your course previewed here. So we have courses previewed. You could have also another widget called My Courses, and you see a little tile here with your course. If you hover over it, you'll see three little dots. If you click on those dots, you can click on course offering information, and it actually brings you right into your course. So really quickly from there, you'll see that we've jumped into the Brightspace secondary course, and this is the course offering information. If you scroll down just a little bit, it'll show you here your course is active. If the check mark is not in there, your course is inactive. If you select it, it actually makes your course active. So just make sure that your course is active so that you can start sharing with your students. I'm going to scroll back. Now I really want to go back to our org homepage. So if you go back to the top, you have the little home button here. When I click the home button from anywhere within my course, it actually brings me right back to the organization homepage. So just a quick little navigation tip there for you. The second way to find how to activate your course, if you do not have one of these widgets where you have a tile with your course on here, you have to go through the course selector. You select your course here. You're going to navigate over to your course admin. From course admin, we're going to have that same course offering information. So I'll be able to click that, and brings me back here. And again, I can see that my course is active. Now, don't worry if that was a little bit too quick for you or you couldn't follow along, because you will have a copy of this video to reference. Now, before we start getting onto our class homepage, I'm actually just going to navigate back to our PowerPoint and our presentation. So we talked about the course homepage. We looked at your course selector. So like I mentioned, this here you can see on the screen, this is what it would look like if you had multiple courses. Once you hit that pin button, that will actually just stay at the top, and as well as what it's like to activate your course. So your course admin, course offering information, and active. Again, you'll have these slides. This should help you if you have to walk through these steps. So we looked at first time access. We've covered what's Brightspace current state. So our next steps are, we're going to look at course homepage navigation. So I'm going to hop right back into our demo site here. And we're going to go back to our course homepage. So when I mentioned before, when you hit this home button, it brings you to your org homepage. If you scroll over here to the top where you have your course name, if you click on that, it will actually always bring you back into your course homepage. Here, when you log into your course, you're going to see a number, or you're going to see that it looks very similar to that organization homepage where you have your mini bar here. You do have your navigation bar here, and I want to kind of pull your attention here right now. So your district is going to automatically preset you with a navigation bar. So when you log in here, these tools here, which is content, assessment, communication, class progress, portfolio help, and course admin, that is already going to be pre-populated by your district. If for some reason there's something there that you don't think meets the needs of your class, or you wanted to add additional content into that nav bar, you might be able to do that. Some districts do not allow you to edit your nav bar. Some districts will absolutely allow you to edit your own nav bar. So this three little dots here, if you were going to go to edit your nav bar, you would actually just click these three little dots, and I'm not going to go in and show you exactly how to do that. We have a lot of documentation, and I actually recommend that you reach out to your Brightspace administrator if you're going to start editing your nav bar, but you do have the option. If you click those three little buttons, it's going to allow you to do that. As we go down your course homepage, the next thing we want to take a look at is this banner here. So again, it is a customizable banner. You can see it's kind of welcome you, hello secondary. It's got a little image in the back. If you come into your course and you don't like what's already there, again, if we click these three little buttons, it actually gives us a few different options. The first one is to change the image. We can customize the banner text, or if you believe that you don't like it in there and you want to remove it because it takes up too much real estate on your page, you could also remove it. I do, however, really like the banner. I actually recommend you leave it up and use it as a way to engage your learners. So first thing I want to just show you how to do that. If I hit change image here, it actually comes up with a list of preset images that you can use. If you're not a fan of any of the images, you can hit the upload button and bring in your own image. If I could have just used this image here, I kind of like that. Let's just say we get through the next little while, and you know that there's going to be some exams coming up for your students. Maybe you want to make a picture here like I had with the exams, and then maybe customize your banner where you can say right now it says hello first name. So first name here actually is in these little squiggly brackets, and they're basically called replace strings. And what that will do is when anybody logs in, it'll actually replace that first name with that person's first name. So if I were to log in with my own personal account, it would actually just say, hello, Adam. So we know that it's exam week because we just changed the image. So let's just say, hello, first name, good luck with exams this week. And we can customize that there. And then you can see when every student logs in this week, it'll just say, hello, their name, good luck with exams this week. It's just a small little thing, but it's a way that you can engage with your learners and make it a little bit, just to change it up a little bit week to week, so it's not the same thing they're always looking at. Okay, so that's the banner there. And as we move down, we have our widgets. I have stripped down these widgets on this particular page to only two. We have activity feed and the calendar. When you are starting off, I always recommend starting off with just maybe one tool at a time and start building out from there. You don't want to overwhelm yourself and you don't want to overwhelm your students. The one that I always recommend to start with is activity feed. If on your course homepage you don't see activity feed, feel free to reach out your Brightspace administrator. They will be able to help you out. And again, with kind of the same as you were able to do with your nav bar and your banner, if you scroll down here and on your homepage, it's actually the bottom right, you have the three little buttons where you can actually edit your homepage. So again, your district could lock that. It could give you as an educator the option to edit it, but reach out to your Brightspace administrator before really starting to change too much on your homepage. The next piece I really want to now draw our attention to is the activity feed. So I'd mentioned it's like a social media inspired tool where you can communicate and engage with your learners. So we can see here that secondary has already come in and created a post. And basically it says, welcome to our online space. Feel free to contact me through Brightspace, or you can reach me at my district email. And then my goal is to reply to all inquiries within 24 hours. So if you're new to navigating to an online world, setting something like this up in your activity feed post for your learners is, I think, a nice little tip. have your contact information and have what your response time is going to be. That way, students will know what to expect. We live in a world of instant gratification. Once you send something online, you should be responding right away. We see that all the time with text messages and instant messaging. So make sure that you set that expectation for your students right away to know, hey, this is how long it could take, because you're not going to be expected to be online 24 hours a day, but you're going to respond within a 24-hour window. So that's just a post that we already had up there. But what I'd like to do is walk you through creating a new post. So if I hit the plus sign, it actually gives me two options for creating an activity feed post. You can create a message or you can create an assignment. So the first thing actually I'm going to want to do is we're going to look at creating just a message here first. When you click into the message box, it actually gives you a very small little HTML editor. When you start typing, you can use bold, italicize, underline. You can have some bullet points, and we also have just a small list of emojis here as well that you can use to engage your learners. As we kind of move down here, we have this little checkbox here, which will allow for comments. So if you want students to be able to comment or ask questions when you post something, you can enable commenting. If it's just something that you want to send out and you just want, it's more of just like a little bit of an info dump, you can turn off the comments. So it's just they're taking information from there. For now, I'm just going to allow the commenting to be there. We have the ability here to attach as well. We have a number of different options. The first one is a file upload, which you can pull from your computer. So anything that may be saved on your desktop, attach link to an existing activity. So if there's something already within Brightspace, we're not going to get into existing activities part of this webinar, but if there's already an activity, you can link to there. You can attach a web link to a website. Google Drive and OneDrive, the first time you use this, you will have to sync up your Google Drive or OneDrive, but after that, you can actually just pull straight from your Google Drive. And then you can also attach a video from the web. So maybe after we've gone in here, we'll create a post now together. You've told your learners how to get in touch with you. The next thing you want to do is show them how are you going to navigate Brightspace. So I'm actually going to put a video from one of our YouTube tutorials. So maybe I'll put here, please, oh, too quick, please watch the following video on how to navigate Brightspace. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to attach a video. The URL, I've already preloaded it there for myself. You can see here that will pop up, navigating Brightspace, learning environment. I'll hit save. Now, if I want it to post right away, I can just hit the post button. But one of the neat features we have here as well is this post later. If I hit post later, I can actually schedule a certain time for this post to be released. This is really great if you are maybe trying to get a little bit ahead of your schedule and have videos ready for every morning. You can have them scheduled. So maybe Sunday night or Monday mornings, you sit down and you're getting everything kind of all your prep out of the way. You can get a whole bunch of posts ready to go and schedule them. For now, I'm going to cancel because I want to post it right away. If I hit the post button, you can see it pops up right away here in our activity feed. Really cool feature as well is when students kind of go in here to look at this particular video, they're actually going to watch it right in line. The video itself embeds right within the activity feed. So they're not actually navigating away. It keeps them focused within Brightspace, within your course, and not popping out to YouTube and falling down a rabbit hole watching a bunch of random videos that a lot of us probably have done in the past. So it's right here, right in line. The one thing that you might notice though is that our contact activity feed post has been bumped down, and I personally think that you should try to keep that at top. So if a student does have a question, that they know exactly where to go, they won't have to look through the activity feed. So what I'd recommend doing is if you do put an activity feed message like this, if you click the three little buttons here, you can actually pin this post to the top. And as you see, it actually brings it right back to the top. So if you pin this message, it will bring it up to the top for you. And then everything is going to go underneath it chronologically after that. One last thing I'd like to show you with Activity Feed is how to create a quick little assignment. Um, so what maybe we'll do is click the assignment button here. We're going to actually create an assignment. So we're not going to select an existing. There is a way to grab assignments that you've previously established. So I think on Wednesday, one of the webinar series is going to cover on how to do that. But for today, we're actually just going to create an assignment name. So we're going to actually call it Learning from Home. Our instructions are going to be write maybe 3 to 5 paragraphs on how you think learning from home will change how you approach learning. Oh, all right, you can assign a due date here as well. So if I scroll down, you can say, let's just say we're going to say that they have till the end of this week. You could add it to our grades tool. Again, we're not getting into grades, but if you are able to do that. And then we're going to look at the submission types. There's a couple here that we're going to look at. File submission, that is maybe they have to write, they'll do it in a Word doc or in a Google doc, and then they're going to be able to bring it in. Or text submission, it'll actually give them just a little text box to be able to complete their work in there. And these other two are in person. So we're actually going to not cover those right now because for the next little while, we're really moving to that digital space. Again, you can allow to add comments and you can attach any attachments if you need to, but for now, we're just going to go ahead and post this so you can see what that looks like. So now what will happen in your activity feed, you have this little activity that's been submitted. As a learner, when you go in there, it'll look very similar. You're going to be able to click a button here and it's going to bring you into that activity. You as an educator, you're going to see how many submissions there are. In this particular case, you'll see 0 for 3. So what this is showing us is there's three students in this particular class. So it's a really small class because it's a demo. However, all 3 students are in there and none of us submitted some work. The last thing I wanted to kind of just cover in this particular section is as we're talking about students in your class, the really neat thing about Brightspace, and if you're already using Brightspace in your district, is that we are integrated with your SIS. So all the students in your class are automatically going to be pulled in to Brightspace and they're going to be assigned to your course. So you do not have any manual work that you have to do bringing in students into your course. And if changes happen and they're changed in the SIS, Brightspace will recognize that and make the appropriate updates as well. Okay, I know that was a ton of information. I know I probably talked a little bit fast, but I'm just going to now navigate back to our presentation here to make sure that we have covered everything we needed to cover. So we looked at first time access, we looked at homepage navigation, we looked at activity feed and engaging learners. The last thing I really wanted to cover with you guys today is some additional resources for you that you're going to be able to take away. The first resource slide we have here, it talks about some COVID planning support. How do you transition from face-to-face to online learning? For a lot of individuals, that is going to be a brand new experience. My wife is an educator. She is actually going through this process right now. What is that going to look like? There's a lot of anxiety about understanding that process. We have some materials for you to look over to help you with that. We also have some Brightspace tutorial videos. They kind of show you all of our different tools. We have some additional tools here. They're called the VLE training videos. They're Ontario based. So in Ontario, the province has actually branded Brightspace as the VLE, but they're really great videos. So if you watch them, just substitute, anytime you hear the word VLE, substitute that with Brightspace and you can watch these videos. They're really quick little 1-minute workflows to show you how to use a little tool. So anywhere between 1 to 3 minutes on a variety of different tools. We have some additional resources and a complimentary course on COVID-19. And like I've mentioned a couple times, we have the webinars that are coming up. And the next slide, we'll look at when those are and what's coming up. And the last little bullet point, again, I just wanted to re-emphasize, if you don't have Brightspace in your district, please send us an email. If you have any questions about any of the content that I've shared or any of the resources, please email k12ont@d2l.com for more information. We talked about the webinars. So today we've had the great getting started with Brightspace ones. Now both have been, this one's coming to an end. So tomorrow what you'll have is introduction to delivering learning online. Wednesday, we have an introduction to assessment in Brightspace. And Thursday, we have providing rich and descriptive feedback in Brightspace. And like I mentioned, all our morning sessions are focused on elementary educators. The afternoon ones are in secondary educators. If you're a secondary educator and you can't make that 4 p.m., I would still recommend going to that morning one because there's going to be a lot of synergies. Maybe the tips and tricks along the way aren't going to focus on you as a secondary educator, but I think you'll still get a lot of value of it. And again, to register, that link is down at the bottom. The final piece here that I wanted to cover with you today is a little bit more on resources. So we've actually done a good job here of bucketing into 4 types of resources. We have communication and collaboration, organizing course materials, documenting student learning, and feedback and assessment. If you actually look at the first one here, communicating and collaborating, activity feed. So we actually only covered 3 of these bullet points. There's a few extra ones here that we didn't cover just due to lack of time. All of our tools are very robust. There's a lot that you can do with them. I recommend starting with one. So start with that activity feed, really familiarize yourself with what that looks like, and then start working your way out from there. Work one at a time. It'll definitely help you through your education journey and transitioning to that online digital classroom. Last thing we want to do is just make sure we've covered everything. We looked at the current state. We talked about how we're all in this together. We talked about with that little infographic about what Brightspace is and what D2L is in our Brightspace community. We looked at first time access and how to activate your course, did that homepage navigation to engage your learners, maybe with an enticing banner and some text there, and changing that up to really keep them engaged, using activity feed to engage learners, so really maybe pulling in some videos and building out assignments through that activity feed and allowing them to comment, and then all the resources that we've shared at the end here. Again, these slides are coming out to you, so you will be able to access them. And on that note, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining our webinar today. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope the next set of webinars will also meet the needs that you're looking for. If you have any questions, reach out to K12ONT@d12.com. Final thank you to everybody. Stay safe out there. Take care for now. Bye-bye.